Welcome to HR Voices, real talk with people leaders who are in it every day. We get into the messy stuff, the challenges that keep them up at night, and how they're actually fixing them. No corporate fluff, just smart conversations for people who care about people. HR Voices is brought to you by All Voices, the platform that cuts hours of manual HR work with step-by-step workflows and AI to assist with investigations, performance improvement, accommodations, leave requests, and more, so you can get back to the human side of HR. Welcome to HR Voices. I'm Emily Finnick, and today I get to hang out with Lindsay Crawley-Herbert, who is Chief People Officer at SCAN. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. I was reading about SCAN. SCAN is a mission-based organization, and you promote keeping seniors healthy and independent, I love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the organization and the mission?
Yeah, so SCAN is a nonprofit Medicare Advantage, predominantly Medicare Advantage insurance company, but we do have 4 care delivery assets. So yes, where it's all about keeping seniors healthy and independent through their care delivery journey as well as their insurance. And I've been here about 5 years, and I have to say, it has been a really nice career experience where I do believe we are truly focused on our members and making the right decisions, which is refreshing because that's not always how it is in healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit more about the employees? How many, where they work, how they're distributed? What's that like?
We're hybrid, I would say. So we have some people that are in office, but mostly we have collaboration days on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Mm.
And then depending on where talent is, they may come in once or twice a month. So, for example, I actually live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am out in Long Beach at least 2 times a month.
Oh, that's wonderful. How did you guys land that? Did that something that happened sort of during COVID era, or is it something that's always been part of the company culture DNA?
No, very much COVID. So prior to COVID, we were all in that office, or they were all in that office because I came post-COVID. I wouldn't
Mhm.
actually have this job if it was pre-COVID because everyone sat in Long Beach Monday through Friday. And then through COVID, we've realized that we could actually do the same work in more of a hybrid environment. While some people are fully remote, some of our member service reps and those that are out giving care to the older adults, we at an executive level do understand the importance of collaboration. So we're very intentional about how and when we get together so that we still have that connection, but at the same time can still be very productive in a hybrid environment.
Yeah, I love the flexible approach for those who can swing it.
Yes. It's not for every company, but it's been
Yeah,
really, really, really great for us.
wonderful. You have a Christmas tree behind you. We're in the holiday season. As we roll into 2026, I'm curious what employee challenges are top of mind for you? When you think about the people that you support, the strategy you're setting for them, what's top of mind?
For me right now is AI. So one of our biggest challenges is helping people move from like a hesitancy around AI to really having agency and excitement around AI. The thing we, as many companies, I think are dealing with right now, we've implemented a lot of AI, but we're not really fully seeing the ROI. We're really trying to advance it and think about it more from a human work perspective, not so much a technology. It's more about having the confidence to work with the technology, having the critical skills and critical thinking and judgment and trust during these kind of uncertain times. Like we're all trying to figure it out. I had a leader the other day talk to me about, she's like, I'm not concerned about the tool and the technology, but I am a little concerned about becoming irrelevant. And that really stuck with me because I think as things change, even personally dealing with my teenagers, I've become kind of irrelevant, and it's a little hard to personally handle. And and I know I'll become more relevant again. They're in those ages, but we don't want our employees to feel or have a concern of becoming irrelevant, and so we want to make sure that we are transforming and thinking about and equipping them to feel comfortable with this tool and this technology. I mean, to be honest, AI is not the hard part. It's more helping people believe and see that they are so important in this AI enabled world. And it's really kind of a mind shift change, I think, is kind of the place we're at right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely about feeling irrelevant, but also vulnerable. I don't think
Yeah.
that these headlines are helping much. I think there's been an awful lot of layoffs that no names, right? But a lot of folks a lot of folks are saying that layoffs were attributed to AI when I don't think in all cases that's necessarily true, but it does leave people feeling vulnerable.
I agree with you. It does leave people feeling vulnerable, but I also agree with you that it is not the reason why in many of these cases. I mean, all companies are dealing with cost cuts.
Yes.
They're dealing with decreased revenue, increased costs. I mean, there's so many micro and macro factors that are impacting it, but people are blaming it on AI. And we've taken really a much different approach that it's human plus AI plus human. So AI is going to enable and make you, it's a multiplier of capabilities, not an inhibitor or something that's going to decrease jobs. Like we're not looking at it to necessarily decrease jobs, but actually allow us to do more and greater work with the talent that we have today.
hmm Most leaders I speak with reflect that same sentiment back to me. And one person said it really well that stuck with me is that the way that they're leveraging AI at their organization is as an input, not an output. Like it's not actually doing any work. It's just getting better inputs to the strategies that humans are setting and the work that humans are doing, which I really like that phrasing.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I do think eventually it will do some
hmm
output. I just don't think there's very few people that are to the point that it's an output. But even when it's an output, there's still so much human touch that needs to
hmm
occur to get that output. And we're all growing. We all need to be doing more with less. And so at least Scan is going through a huge growth spurt right now. And I can't always add headcount every single time I have these massive growth spurts. Like I need scalability. And AI is a great tool to allow scalability without having to burn out your employees. What
hmm
ends up happening historically is we tend to burn out our employees during these like big growth periods. But if you have AI in the right places at the right time, you can go through that storm without having to burn out your employees.
Can you give us some examples of how you're addressing that challenge, right? And you've shared a few already, but more specifically, you have employees, they're feeling irrelevant. What what has been your messaging strategy with them? What has been your upskilling strategy with them to ensure that they're coming along the ride with you?
Yeah. Well, I think framing matters. So we've been framing it very much as this is a possibility, this is a growth opportunity, this is to maximize your potential and benefit and not from a fear perspective. So I think the way you communicate it matters. And then practically speaking, we're investing in different types of trainings. But a lot of the trainings we're focused on is critical thinking, adaptability, learning agility, because the tools will continue to change. And most employees are not going to be building the AI bots or they just need to be able to use and think differently and
Mhm.
think about how they can maximize this new tool, be it an AI or whatever the new automation tool is that you are experiencing, or what the next level of new change that we don't even know exists today comes out, but being ready and knowing how to maximize that potential. So a growth mindset is so essential today. And I think as we continue to go forward, so we've created a lot of learning experiences, a lot of freedom to explore, ask questions, test and fail. We had our first hackathon this summer where people came in and got a bunch of ideas. We implemented them. It's all around that learning agility and then being vulnerable and being okay with experimentation and saying, hey, I messed up here and we're going to learn from it. So while I think a lot of people are focused on the technology, we're actually focused on more of the soft skills that are needed to really get us through this next phase of change in technology.
Yeah, that's really smart. I love that. Instead of just being, experiment with a tool and be rewarded, right? I love that. Tools will change and you need to be able to identify use cases of where it can assist you, where it can't. And that's all a way of thinking.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about you personally and your people team and what has been the big AI is the biggest challenge for your employees and some of the fears they have associated with that. But specifically for HR, what has been your biggest challenge?
Well, like I said earlier, we've been growing a lot lately. I mean, a lot. And keeping up with making sure we have the right talent in the right places, the change of the workforce and how we're doing work. So, I mean, even though it's AI, this change with AI is so human focused. Like we have to rethink what skills we need, what capabilities we need, and like making sure my team is equipped and set up to help the business through this change has been a big push for us. We also have added a lot of headcount lately, which is why AI is also really on my mind because I am a CPA by training, and so I have a different background than maybe some of my peers. I'm always thinking about the cost of adding all of these heads and how we can actually make these business meet our business goals and meet the needs of our people at the same time. So like there's that natural conflict that exists. And so I always am focused on balancing that and making sure my team understands how we balance that as well.
Hmm. I mean, you hire all these people and you sit back and wait for them to be valuable. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
takes people time to figure out the business, to learn what their role is, to get comfortable, and to ultimately be revenue generating, be productive. I see AI as a great way to speed that part up because so much of it is just humans running into humans, schedule like silly things like
Yep.
scheduling and having the right courses and access to the right information at the right time. And I think a lot of that can be automated. Are you experimenting at all in recruitment or onboarding?
So we have done a little bit in recruiting, but the area that we've been experimenting the most is around coaching. So
Okay.
we have been doing a lot of piloting around AI coaching. One, it's more scalable and it allows more individuals within the organization to have some level of coaching. But it also allows managers to kind of pause and maybe have a little bit better judgment before they react because they can use that AI coach to like talk through before they had that conversation with their boss or their employee or their peer, especially through like conflict resolution. It's still very early on. And I do think one of the challenges in AI implementation is we don't always think through workflows and how we just kind of pilot onto existing workflows. Well, even in our AI pilot, we've piloted it on and it's not deep in our workflows. So then it creates not as much usage as I would like. That is one of the things
Mm.
that I found in this pilot is people forget that they have it because it's not right there in front of them. And yes, it's like over here. And so then I forget. And that's one of the challenges with AI. And that's why it's a human first. Like we have to rethink work, how we do work, the way we do work, and we don't just pile it on top. And so even with this coaching, I think the potential is really, really there, but we have to figure out how to integrate it into the teams or into like just more into how we work. So Slack or Teams so that it can create more in the moment coaching. But I think the potential of AI coaching and the impact on the employee experience as well as the performance of the employees is going to be game changing.
Yeah, I mean, the workflow integration plus the data integration is just essential for anything net new you're bringing on. I know people have so many places they now have to go to get information that you know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
in order for me to just like send an email, I feel like I'm touching like 9 tools.
Very much so. And that's why we've had some of the AI adoption that we've implemented has not been as successful as we'd like because you're having to like open a new screen and like even
Right.
those little things. So I know this opening this screen is going to save me 5 minutes, but it also is adding 4 minutes that like it makes my brain have to think a little like
Mhm.
that I have to go and do that. And like those things, if you don't make it just part of the natural workflow, people don't utilize it and they don't value it the way that they should or
The
could.
context, the price of context switching.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Context switching, it wears on the brain for sure.
That's a really good kind of watch out or something to think of as you're evaluating a tool. Is there anything else that advice you have to offer of things that maybe buyers should be thinking about when they bring new tools on board?
I think it's the workflow is huge. Making sure you have the right data, like bad data in, bad data out. So you have to really take the time to train the AI and make sure that it's giving you the right information. That's where that human plus AI plus human. So if you
Mhm.
forget, a lot of times people forget the human on the backside. And when you forget the human on the backside, then your responses from the AI are very risky and could create a lot of liability actually for
Mhm.
the organization. So I think, we're really thinking through the workflows, thinking through the experience for both the employee as well as maybe the customer, whoever else may experience this AI tool, and then making sure that you are putting the human on the backside so that like it is actually getting the right information out is very important.
Mhm. I'm gonna add that to my handy list of, like, HR equations I've learned this year, human plus
Human plus
AI plus
AI
human.
plus human.
Well, you hear human in the loop quite a bit, but that's only the back half of that equation. It's sort of sinking in with me now, so I'm catching up to you. But, like,
Good.
I hear what you mean. It's like, AI gives you something, a human needs to make sure they review it, but it's also you don't forget the first part too of
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
setting the right context, making sure the prompts are right, making sure the governance is in order, making sure it's policy aware or aware of whatever it needs to be aware of, like
Yeah,
contextually aware. That takes a lot of work too. I also think people underestimate how much work that is on the upfront to get those outputs to a place where they can be less biased, less, more reliable, less prone to error. It takes a lot of effort. It's not like as easy as some people will market it to be.
agreed. I completely agree. And you can't trust exactly like that AI is always right. Just like you can't trust human, but it feels like when it's a technology, you're like, oh yeah, it has to be right.
Mhm.
And you need judgment. And critical thinking. I mean, those, like I said earlier, some of the skills that we're really focused on is that judgment, that critical thinking, that learning agility, so that we can change the workflows to make sense and make sure that the AI is actually helping us and not hurting us. One other thing I do want to bring up that I think is, and I have no solution for this, but it's on top of my mind, is I'm hearing a lot of people, and we don't have a lot of really early career talent at our company. We have some, but not a ton. But what I'm hearing from a lot of my peers and our people are cutting and automating out those roles. But the problem is we're going to end up with not a smarter workforce, but a smaller workforce, and it's going to become an issue down the road. And so I think that is a watch out that myself and peers need to help figure out and solve. How do we still hire early career talent and build them in ways that we aren't like having where labor shortages in a few years?
I don't remember if it was the CEO, CPO, someone C-suite at Amazon Web Services gave a great podcast on this, and I will send it to you afterwards.
Oh,
But
please do.
his perspective on it was like, the fact that people are not hiring entry level talent anymore. He thought they're the least expensive, they're the most eager, they're the most AI fluent of
Yeah.
any generation, right? It's kind of like it'd be really foolish to stop hiring. I think it's just the challenge you stated so well, which is what are they going to do with their time though, right? Like how are they going to spend their time? But to not nurture that, to just skip that level, you're going to have so many more problems down the road if we're not investing, if we don't know
Yes.
what to invest in and we're not investing.
Yeah.
The
We're not
last
gonna teach them those critical thinking
right.
skills and the learning agility and the being comfortable with change. I mean, even though they're probably more comfortable with change than all of us because
Yes.
everything their whole life has been changed so much faster than the rest of us when we grew up.
Yeah, and what are they really prepared for? I mean, I haven't spent too much time thinking about this, but when I reflect on my own experience as early career, I mean, like, how much was I really learning? Like, where were the learning moments that prepped me for leadership later on? Because I'm not certain that cutting and pasting into a spreadsheet was prepping me for leadership. You see what I mean? But like,
Oh, yeah,
what are
absolutely.
those moments that are critical to the future of the workforce and to your business specifically? Like, how do we pinpoint those? It's a fascinating conversation.
I mean, when I think back to my career, I was very fortunate. I did consulting for Deloitte and I was in rooms that I never should have been in. The exposure I got to like executive thinking and presentation skills and I mean, just how you interact in a really an executive business setting and problem solve was had a huge impact on my career. And guess what? We can have like I don't need someone to cut and paste. Like I was doing a lot of the cutting and
Yeah.
pasting too, don't get me wrong. But we don't necessarily maybe need them to do that anymore, but we still need to make the investment to put them in the rooms, to teach them the skills because someone else is going to eventually like I do want to retire. I need somebody else to take my thought at some point.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you reduce your workforce too much, you're now creating like a I don't know how to describe this, but like if one person's out, like if your entire marketing department is running is one person running
Yep.
17 agents and that person gets a better opportunity, where are you?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Succession planning is going to be so
Yes.
important. Critical skills building is going to be so important. And then selfishly, I have kids and I want to make sure that there's still a future for them, future careers for them as well.
Well, I mean, your advice would apply to them as well. You know, if they invest in those soft skills, adaptability, growth mindset, they'll be fine.
That is my goal. I try every day. And I also am definitely having them experiment with AI so that they're comfortable with the
Mhm.
tool. Actually, we were at we went to the Kentucky tracks, horse racing tracks. And my 6-year-old asked me to put in ChatGPT, like which horse is going to win because he wanted to bet. And my older girls were like, no, no, we have to do it the right way, the old school way. We can't cheat. And he actually beat them. He
Well,
won
of
money.
course he did. But he doesn't see it as cheating. I don't think it is. He
I don't,
doesn't
it's
think,
being smart.
what are we worried about? This kid knows how to identify a use case. Like
Yeah.
us old folks over here talking about how are we going to teach our workforce to identify use cases? And your youngest is like, guys,
He's like, "I got it. I'm
I
6. I
got it.
totally got it."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a great story. Speaking of growth mindset, my daughter joined 4-H and had to give a speech, and she chose to give her speech on growth on what a growth mindset is.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, how do you know what that is? And she learned it from this podcast. She listened to it, and it was one of our guests had done actual PhD research on it, on grit and growth mindset, and she listened to it, and I didn't even know she had heard it. So it was it was like the third episode of HR Voices, and so it's really been an encouragement that, you know, even if she can learn something, even if it's only my kids listening, but you can learn so
Yeah,
much
no, that's
from.
amazing. See,
Yeah,
you're creating our future workforce as well.
that's right.
I'm gonna now make my kids listen to that episode.
Yeah, well, they make them listen to this one. Yeah,
Well,
at least.
actually, earlier today, I was showing my son, that I'm on YouTube. He didn't believe me. He was like, "You're
Yeah.
not on YouTube." And I'm like, "No, actually, there's been some podcasts. I'm actually on YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel myself,
Mhm.
but podcasts that I've been on are on YouTube." And he was like mind blown that his mom was on YouTube.
Getting that credibility. Well,
Yep.
it's been a wonderful conversation. I do like to always close it with asking guests if they could share a word of encouragement or advice with listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to that growth mindset. I mean, I
Oh,
think that is so critical. Vulnerability, learning agility, your ability to think differently and be open to others' thoughts. And I just think that's so critical for the success of us today and the future, because the technology is going to change. Like, we didn't know AI was going to come. We don't know what's coming down the future. And I think just keeping that growth mindset is so important, always learning.
I love that. Well, thanks so much, Lindsay. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.